Brought to you by...
The idea of conquering brain death is one that I think many people who enter the medical field probably wish, at least in the back of their mind, that they could achieve. The very concept of being able to save people from passing, to spare the pain of that loss, or at the very least extend the lives of loved ones, who wouldn't want such a thing? However, the things that we don't often consider are the horrors that might come with such an idea being brought to fruition. Hello friends, and welcome back to ETF. I honestly was beginning to think that I might never say those words again. Today, we are going back into a Lovecraftian nightmare that is absolutely beloved to me. It's one I watched as a young stuffy, and honestly would say probably helped shape who I have become. Now, some of you might think that a bit fucked up, but come on, I turned out alright. Right? H.P. Lovecraft's ReAnimator may very well be one of the most classic films of the 80s, at least for a splatter fanatic like me. Crafted under the watchful eye of director and Lovecraft fan Stuart Gordon, who kicked in the door to this whole fucking industry with this feature film debut. This film tells the story of medical student Dan Kane, who finds himself entangled with the eccentric and obsessive Dr. Herbert West, a mysterious medical prodigy who has developed a serum that can reanimate the dead. As West's experiments escalate, they find themselves suffering catastrophic and violent consequences. Based on the novella Herbert West ReAnimator, which was first published in 1922, the film plays out like an unapologetic love letter to the splatter films and horror comedies that gained popularity in the early 80s. Movies like Dead Alive, Evil Dead, Bad Taste, An American Werewolf in London, no, not its much crappier sequel, so effectively blended the concepts of horror and comedy, which had to have at least fed into Gordon's adaptation. The production of ReAnimator was not by any means a grand-scale studio film, managing to scrape together a modest $900,000 budget, which must have been primarily funneled over to the practical effects team led by special effects artist John Nolan. Nolan and his team used a combination of prosthetics, animatronics, and a metric ton of fake blood to bring the reanimated dead to life. Getting this section of the video out of the way, the practical effects arguably define this film's cult status. Scenes such as the reanimated Rufus, the reanimation of Halsey, and the head-giving head are all executed using a variety of techniques that come together to sell these moments in some of the most creative ways that come to memory, showcasing the artistry and craftsmanship of the team behind them. The performances throughout this film are a crucial element of its enduring appeal. Jeffrey Combs as the obsessive and eccentric Herbert West delivers a career-defining performance. His portrayal of West with a mix of deadpan humor and manic insanity anchors the film's blend of horror and comedy. Bruce Abbott as Dan Kane provides a more grounded counterpoint to West's madness, while the luscious Barbara Crampton as Megan Halsey brings both vulnerability and strength to her role. And of course, we cannot forget David Gale, whose performance as Dr. Hill is one of the most unforgettable of them all. His ability to transform from respectable academic to a grotesque and lecherous villain adds layers of menace to the film. The cast's commitment to their roles, despite the outrageous situations and often gory special effects, helps maintain the film's tone and makes the characters all that more memorable. This one plays with such a heavy concept that it naturally comes with deep psychological undertones. The character of Herbert West embodies the archetype of an obsessive scientist whose relentless pursuit of knowledge and power leads him to cross ethical boundaries. His fixation on conquering death illustrates the dangers of unchecked ambition and the potential for scientific hubris to result in moral decay. The film taps into that primal fear of death and the unknown, a central theme in Lovecraft's work. West's experiments represent humanity's desperate attempts to understand and control death, reflecting a deep-seated anxiety about morality and what lies beyond. West's rational scientific approach to reanimation contrasts with the madness that ensues from the experiments. This dichotomy explores how the pursuit of scientific knowledge can lead to a descent into madness, blurring the lines between rationality and insanity. The reanimation process itself is a metaphor for control. West desires to dominate life and death. The reanimated corpses, however, often turn violent and uncontrollable, highlighting the illusion of control and the unpredictability of tampering with nature. The film raises questions about what it means to be alive and human. The reanimated beings are grotesque parodies of their former selves, provoking reflections on the nature of identity and the essence of humanity. The loss of self and the degradation of the body post-reanimation underscore the fragility of human identity. The ethical implications of West's experiments prompt viewers to consider the moral consequences of scientific advancements. The film challenges the audience to reflect on the responsibilities of scientists and the potential costs of pushing beyond ethical boundaries in the name of progress. This adaptation is both faithful and highly creative. It retains the core premise of Lovecraft's story, the character of Herbert West and his experiments to reanimate the dead. Key elements such as West's obsessive nature, his use of the glowing reanimation serum, and the gruesome consequences of his experiments are directly lifted from the novella. The film also keeps the novella's episodic structure to some degree, with a series of escalating experiments leading to increasingly horrific outcomes. One of the most significant departures from Lovecraft's work is in the tone. The original story is starkly gothic, dark, and devoid of humor, focusing on the existential dread and the horror of the unknown. In contrast, Gordon infuses the film with a dark, comedic, and campy tone. The humor in the film often arising from the absurdity of the situations and the over-the-top gore, which contrasts sharply with the serious approach of the novella. The film also expands on the characters, giving them more depth and screen presence than the novella could. For instance, in Lovecraft's story, the narrator is an unnamed assistant of West. In the film, this character is transformed into Dan Kane, who's given a backstory, a love interest, and a more substantial role in the narrative. Megan's character is not even present in the novella, but I think she adds this personal touch and some emotional dimension to the story, increasing the stakes for Dan and complicating his relationship with West. While Lovecraft's story is a little more episodic, with each chapter detailing a different experiment gone wrong, the film condenses and streamlines the narrative for a more cohesive cinematic experience. The movie focuses on the central conflict involving West, Kane, and Hill, creating a more traditional narrative arc with clear protagonists and antagonists. This helps to build tensions and drive the plot forward, culminating in a climactic showdown in the morgue. While not a traditional cosmic horror story in the same vein as many of Lovecraft's works, this film still carries elements of cosmic horror that can be explored in depth. This subgenre typically involves the insignificance of humanity in the grand scheme of the universe, the existence of incomprehensible and malevolent forces, and the breakdown of sanity when confronted with these truths. West's experiments are driven by a desire to conquer death, a fundamental aspect of human existence. This quest for control over life and death touches on the cosmic horror theme of humanity's insignificance. West's obsession and belief that he can master death reflect the hubristic denial of this insignificance. The consequences of his experiments serve as a stark reminder that some aspects of existence are beyond our control. While ReAnimator focuses on scientific experimentation rather than the supernatural, reanimated corpses represent forces that defy natural laws and human understanding. The grotesque and unpredictable nature of the reanimated beings can be seen as a manifestation of the incomprehensible. These creatures are not just zombies, they're entities that embody the breakdown of natural order, something beyond our understanding. West's unwavering pursuit of his experiments, despite repeated failures and horrifying outcomes, highlights the breakdown of sanity that often accompanies these types of stories. His outward refusal to accept the limitations of his knowledge and his descent into madness illustrate the psychological toll of confronting forces beyond comprehension. This mirrors Lovecraft's frequent theme of characters losing their sanity when faced with the truth of reality. The very concept of reanimation also taps into existential dread, a key component of cosmic horror. The reanimated beings are stripped of humanity and reduced to grotesque husks. This raises profound questions about the nature of existence, identity, and the soul. The idea that reanimation could reduce a person to a mindless, monstrous state evokes a deep fear of what lies beyond death. Cosmic horror often thrives on ambiguity and the unknown, and while ReAnimator provides a more concrete narrative, it still leaves certain aspects ambiguous. The exact nature of the reanimation serum, the full extent of its effects, and the ultimate fate of West and his creations is left to interpretation. This ambiguity contributes to a lingering sense of unease and the idea that there are mysteries and horrors that remain beyond our grasp. Since its release, ReAnimator has developed a significant cult following. Its blend of horror and humor, combined with its audacious special effects, resonate with audiences and critics alike. The film's willingness to push boundaries, both in terms of gore and subject matter, set it apart from other films of this era. Over the years, ReAnimator has been reevaluated and appreciated for its innovative approach and the way it subverts traditional horror tropes. The film's success has led to 2 sequels, which I don't want to talk too much about right now because I do think I'm going to get to those eventually. For me, ReAnimator is a landmark film that combines the macabre sensibilities of Lovecraft with the irreverent and boundary-pushing spirit of the 80s. Its practical effects, memorable performances, and unique tone have ensured its place as a beloved cult classic, inspiring filmmakers and entertaining audiences for decades. It is a film that showcases how far a filmmaker can be willing to go with their vision, exploring territory that many would have never dared to at the time. And the reason I crushed so hard on Barbara Crampton in my teenage years, I mean, who didn't after watching this scene? Well, friends, that's gonna be all for now. I thought this was the perfect film to resurrect the channel with. I apologize that I've been away for so long. I've missed you all during this hiatus. I have received all of your thoughtful comments and concerns, and it honestly means so much that so many of you took the time to check in on me and make sure that everything was okay, and tell me how much you missed the content. I won't lie, I never really thought that anyone cared about it. But I don't want to get all mushy here, at least not in this video. Hopefully it won't happen again. I'm going to be trying something a little different with my videos going forward, working in more facts about the films, as well as talking about my thoughts and analysis on it, hopefully bringing you guys more comprehensive and enjoyable videos overall. Take my opinions for what they're worth, but more importantly, check out these films for yourself and please formulate your own. I've placed the link down in the description on where you can get a copy of this film for yourself. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like, subscribe for more content. Until next time, stay safe. And as always, thanks for watching.